Hey guys, tag me in. It is your time for the Raw review for December 19th, 2011. The last Monday Night Raw before Christmas, so I guess the holiday edition of Monday Night Raw. There was no tacky bullshit, Christmas tree matches or anything like that, but we do have a lot to be thankful for, do we not? My big fear going into this show was they pulled off an amazing show last night at TLC, and that they were going to totally turn around and totally fuck it up tonight. That didn't happen. First and foremost, because they're only a day apart, if you haven't watched it yet, flip back one video, check out my review of TLC. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun show, and it was a great review for me to do at 2:30 in the morning. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, check that out. December 19th, Raw Super Show starts with Punk announcing himself as the winner of TLC, as the winner of the WWE Championship TLC Triple Threat match. Comes down, puts over the chaos of the match, puts over, the fact that he's still champion. Then he starts talking about the US Championship, and you're like, okay. Announces Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder comes out, starts talking about the World Heavyweight Championship match between Big Show and Mark Henry. Then he introduces Daniel Bryan. All three internet darlings in the crowd at once, hand in hand, arm in arm, belts up in the air, and the crowd goes nuts. They're in Philadelphia, so this leads to an ECW chant, which is kind of bizarre, but it's good, Punk steps aside, says this isn't all about me, last night was all about these two guys. Ryder gets a quick woo in. Daniel Bryan starts shooting on Michael Cole, but that's quickly cut off because Miz, Ziggler, and Alberto Del Rio come out. They try to ambush the three winners. They try to ambush the three champions. The three champions fight them off, and they are left on the outside of the ring. And then Ryder tries for his somersault flip over the top into the group of heels, misses, and he gets thrown into the steps, and there's a brawl, there's a little brouhaha, as Punk would say. It's quickly interrupted by John Laurinaitis, and the obvious match is made: Miz, Ziggler, and Alberto Del Rio versus Daniel Bryan, Punk, and Zack Ryder. And in that opening segment alone, and I put it in big capital letters on Facebook as I was watching, look out WWE, all the young guns are taking over, and that's an exciting thing. That's the first, 10-15 minutes of the show, and I'm already more excited about Raw than I have been in a long time. I'm more excited, for the last couple of days than I have been in a long time, and that's good. Come back. We have a rematch between Orton and Barrett. Basically, my thought through this was it was a continuation of last night without the tables. Barrett, brawls and owns Orton on the floor, owns him in the ring. Barrett hooks on, and you know me, I don't know real proper names for shit. Has a standing choke on Orton from a really, really awkward sort of side angle, and he rides it for quite a while. They brawl some more. Wade is eventually disqualified for something as stupid as a thumb to the eye. Mauls Orton, hits him with the Black Hole Slam, which he apparently calls the Winds of Change, which sounds a bit lame, and brings a table into the ring and puts him through the table, as if he's saying, this is what I could have done last night. They called it the Winds of Change. They can't, WWE can't even have aggressive sounding finishing moves anymore, can they? The attitude adjustment and, friggin' the Winds of Change and, Wasteland. Nothing sounds like an effective move. The only intimidating sounding move name they've come up with in the past little while is Big Show and the Weapon of Mass Destruction. That's, I don't know. That's a product of the PG era, and I'm not going to let it get me down, especially not tonight. We saw a commercial for the Royal Rumble. It's the next pay-per-view coming up. Do they not have the biggest idiot in the WWE, Santino Marella, advertising the Royal Rumble based on how he almost won the Royal Rumble last year, and he's dressed up like a gypsy and he's reading the crystal ball, and it's very, very lame, it has to be said. Now, we come back, we have a recap of what happened between Triple H and Nash last night, and it's announced that Kevin Nash has a nasal fracture because of the face shot that he took from the sledgehammer from Triple H last night at TLC. Interesting to note that in this PG era, we can't hit somebody in the head with a chair, but we can hit somebody in the face with a sledgehammer. Yeah. Beth Phoenix versus Alicia Fox wasn't given very much time. I really predicted Beth was going to win this. She didn't, and it was okay. Alicia Fox hit a really sort of awkward-looking reverse DDT and finished off Beth Phoenix with a rolling leg drop that was pretty, you know, for Alicia Fox, who I don't expect much from, I'm sorry to say, with all due respect, it was a very convincing way for her to get a win against somebody like a Beth Phoenix, and at least it wasn't Kelly. So, you know, for the little 1 or 2 minutes of Diva action that we had tonight, it wasn't too bad. Same can be said for the next match, Sheamus versus Jinder Mahal. Again, Jinder Mahal talks way too much on his way to the ring. Jinder Mahal brought a little bit, like he didn't walk in and get his head kicked off and that was the end of the match. This week, you know, he stretched it out over, I think, about 5 minutes, but it's Sheamus. Sheamus is a wrecking crew. Irish Curse, Celtic Cross, and Sheamus is your winner. John Cena comes out to address the Kane issue, and he starts off, you know, sarcastically, as Cena always does. You know, being in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia being one of those strongly opinionated cities, like a New York, like a Chicago, like a Toronto, you know, we're a little different here too. Cena was booed mercilessly when he came out. And it's funny, because if you watch the show and you see how many, you know, Cena signs and Cena shirts were out there in the crowd, he was booed almost relentlessly when he came out, which was, it made me smile, because you guys know, if you guys don't know my opinion on John Cena by now, you really haven't been paying attention. But he got booed mercilessly, and he comes out in typical John Cena sarcasm and says, "You guys might be surprised by this, but people don't like me. Da-da-da-da-da." Mentions The Rock, plugs WrestleMania, and then he mentions what happened with Kane last week. He doesn't know why Kane attacked him and this and that. He says, was I in the wrong place at the wrong time, or do we have an issue we need to deal with? Henry comes out. This part I don't get. Henry comes out hobbling like crazy. Apparently part of the reason he lost last night is because he's actually injured. He's going to be injured for a while. Henry comes out looking all weak as hell, hobbling on one leg, and starts talking shit to John Cena before, you know, we hear the big boom, the big pyro, Kane comes down, looks like he's going to go face-to-face with Mark Henry, and ends up going face-to-face with John Cena again. More so this time. John Cena gets in one good clothesline that takes him out of the ring, and after that, Kane basically owns him all over the place. Chokes him out on the ring, you know, the announce table and whatever, and rips off the, oh, what the hell is this? There's a new shirt. The Rise Above Hate shirt. You know, Kane being one of the most hateful characters, you know, in WWE history, apart from, say, maybe Undertaker. You know, taking away the Rise Above Hate shirt. I loved, even if it wasn't intentional, I love the symbolism of that. That was really great. Because he took the shirt with him when he left. Like, he ripped it off Cena and he took the shirt with him when he left. Like I say, I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything, but to me there's symbolism there, and I like that. Plus, it's a really lame looking shirt, and it's John Cena. But whatever. Cena, you know, not looking so indestructible anymore, is he? I'm okay with that. Next up, we have Primo and Epico, which, you know, coming off of looking fantastic last night against Air Boom at TLC, even though they didn't win, versus the Usos, who have been looking great for a while. One thing I have to say about this, and this is coming to, believe me, with all due respect to Air Boom, you had two teams out there tonight that looked like teams. They had a similar look. They had, you know, similar, you know, ring dress and whatever. They had tandem offense. They had mirror-like offense, and between the two teams, the styles of the two teams meshed together tremendously for a great match. Great match overall. Primo and Epico get the win over the Usos. I'm not hurting about that. My prediction at this point, and I'm gonna go long shot on this, my prediction for Mania is gonna be Primo and Epico versus the Usos versus Air Boom. Like, they can't really be leading to anything unless they want to really boost up Hawkins and Rex and get them involved in the mix. That's the only thing I can really see them doing with the tag team championships going into WrestleMania, going into the Royal Rumble, etc. Yeah, so great tag team wrestling for once, and we move on. Backstage, we see Cody Rhodes. He talks about the upcoming Rumble, talks about how he's going to win, talks about how stupid Santino's commercial for the Rumble is. Santino then comes up to him in the middle of his interview with a box, you know, saying it's a Christmas present and whatever, and he says, "Oh, you probably don't want it. It's a cobra," and he sticks his own hand with the stupid cobra sock puppet through the box and tries to, you know, scare Cody Rhodes with it. And Santino Marella and Jinder Mahal need to be done in the Future Endeavor shirts. That's all I'm going to say about that. Santino Marella and Cody Rhodes lasted way longer than it should. Rhodes eventually destroys Santino, and Cole... There was more to this match than Rhodes destroying Santino, but Cole blabbed through so much of this match, I couldn't even concentrate on the match. Even though Santino was horrible, and even though you knew he was going to lose, I still would have liked to have something more to say about this match, but I really don't, because Michael Cole ruined it for me, because he's going nuts that all the internet darlings are winning championships, etc., etc., etc. Come back. We have a great video package, you know, wrap up and recap from Tribute to the Troops, which was a great show. I was considering doing a review on that, but, you know, there's not really much I can say other than Tribute to the Troops was a great show. You know, Nickelback, Mary J. Blige, I think, was the other singer. They had a comedian there. They had great matches. They had... Ironically enough, Tribute to the Troops did a lot to build up TLC. It did more than I think Raw did or SmackDown did to build up the pay-per-view. So, what can you say? I miss when they actually went overseas and they did the big outdoor shows at the military installments, because that was kind of cool and kind of different. But, you know, safety dictates and, you know, movement dictates that they can't do that. So, whatever, they do it. You know, back here in North America. It was still a good show. It did all the emotional things it was supposed to do, etc. We go to the back. We have the Bellas and David Otunga and John Laurinaitis, and the Bellas are complaining about Teddy Long, about how he's creepy, which he kind of is, because he was hitting on them at TLC, and that was gross. So that... John Laurinaitis decides he's going to go deal with that later on. Vicky Guerrero comes in screaming and wailing and demanding another U.S. title rematch for Ziggler against Ryder. Gets shut up by a kiss from Hornswoggle, which... It's dumb, but it's about as dumb as Vicky Guerrero, so it works. She freaks out like usual. She looks totally and incredibly disgusted. Vicky Guerrero, I will give her credit, when bad shit happens to her, her facial expressions are great, and she sells the comedy and she sells the disgust of the moment quite well. That is the credit that I will give Vicky Guerrero, in all fairness. Josh Matthews interviewed The Big Show, and the entire time he's sort of poking and prodding him, like, you should be angry. Daniel Bryan screwed you. You haven't had the world title in 9 years, and you held it for 45 seconds, and Big Show just maintains his composure, shows how angry he is, but maintains his composure, and sort of eventually walks off. So, gee, I wonder if there's going to be a feud between Daniel Bryan and The Big Show. Dear God. Daniel Bryan, in my opinion, should either go up against Christian when he comes back or go up against Sheamus. You know, face on face, I don't know how that would work, but it would be a good rivalry to fill time until Mania, until they figure out who they're going to have him face at Mania. Christian, same deal. I don't know what his injury situation is, but I don't know. He should not be fighting The Big Show. It's going to be like when Mysterio fights The Big Show. It's just going to be friggin' ridiculous, but... Whatever, I'm still happy that he's the champion. Miz, Ziggler, and Alberto Del Rio versus Punk, Bryan, and Ryder. Do I even have to say how great this match was? Nice little, a couple of things different about this. You know, obviously Ricardo Rodriguez being injured during the TLC match. He was not on Raw. He was not there to announce Punk. And because we're so used to him now, when he's not there, it takes away from Alberto Del Rio's entrance entirely, doesn't it? Another thing, all the fan favorites, Punk and Bryan and Ryder, all made their entrances through various parts of the crowd. I like it. It's a good touch, and it's what they all have in common. They were all brought together by the crowd, so them as a team having that in common only made sense for them to enter through the crowd. Fast-paced wrestlers, like I say, young guns taking over the main event scene, and all the other cliches that I could possibly say. I can't... if I tried to actually go through this match and describe it, I'm afraid I wouldn't do it justice. There was nothing not good about this match. It ends with Alberto Del Rio tapping to the LaBelle lock, so, you know, talking about, you know, different submissions and whatnot. And Alberto Del Rio just coming off of the sort of submission-based rivalry he had with Punk to then lose in a submission to Daniel Bryan. It doesn't do a lot of good for Alberto Del Rio, but everybody had their spots to look good in this match. The only thing that really didn't make sense was Daniel Bryan didn't really have an enemy in this match. Punk had 2, Ryder had 1, Daniel Bryan had none, but I guess that's how they filled out a 3-on-3 match. Like I say, these are the guys, you look in that ring, and these are the guys, at least some of them, that have got to be main eventing WrestleMania this year. You're looking at a preview. In that ring, in those 6 guys, possibly throw in Sheamus and Cody Rhodes, those 8 guys, other than Rock and Cena, you stir up that pot. Any 2 of those guys, any 2 teams of those guys, any 3 of those guys in a triple threat match could be your main event at WrestleMania. That's the point that we're at right now. We've... and I say this respectfully because he's going to go and do his rivalry with Kane and whatever he's doing. But we've got Cena out of the way momentarily. We've got, you know, Orton has moved down into the mid-card so that these guys can, with those 2 guys out of the way, all these other guys can absolutely flourish. It makes it it's a very exciting sort of time, isn't it? These are the guys that took over the main events at Survivor Series. These are the guys that took over the main events last night at TLC, tonight on Raw. And these are the guys that are going to be in your main event going forward. And it's great. You've got Bryan and Punk, who are the 2 greatest wrestlers WWE has right now. You've got Ryder, who's a little bit more of a superstar, but, you know, his in-ring work is getting there. It really is. Ziggler's in-ring work, you know, Ziggler just needs to have one breakthrough moment, and now that he's gotten rid of the U.S. title, which I think is actually holding him back, he just needs to have that one big moment, and he's going to be right there. Alberto Del Rio has been in the spotlight, and he didn't exactly not look good there either. So none of these guys. Miz, like I've said, like I've been saying for a while now, Miz stood in the ring at WrestleMania in the main event with Cena and The Rock and did not look out of place. How much more over do you want to be? That's all I'm going to say. That match, the match we saw tonight, was the future of the WWE. And anybody that wants to argue me on that is done. That's it. Scores, fails, and MVP. I had to really get picky this week to find any fails this week, and that's always a good thing, isn't it? Barrett balancing the scales. Orton got his win in the tables match last night. Barrett didn't win tonight, but he looked incredibly good in the way that he lost, if that makes sense. He dominated Randy Orton tonight, and you put an exclamation point on it by putting him through the table as if to say, this is what I almost did to you last night. That's good, isn't it? Alicia Fox gets some time in the spotlight. It's somebody new. You know, Divas of Doom and Kelly and Eve are basically the only ones that get the main event spot, that spotlight in the Divas division. So for somebody like Alicia Fox to come in who doesn't get that spotlight a lot, it's good to see. I'd like to see somebody like an AJ Lee get that spot as well. You know, a little bit of variety is good, and, you know, I don't think she's going to be becoming the champion anytime soon, so the fact that she got a little bit of spotlight tonight is okay, isn't it? Like I said, all-star main event. All-star main event. You know, you look at a main event at a Raw or a SmackDown or a pay-per-view, and sometimes you look at it and it's like, okay, most of those guys belong in the main event, but why is that guy there? There wasn't any of that. Last year, I might have said it about Ryder. Last year, because I didn't give him the time of the day when he first came into the WWE, last year I might have said it about Alberto Del Rio, to be quite honest with you. You know, all-star main event, everybody belonged there. When Mark Henry interrupted John Cena, there were sexual chocolate chants, and that's awesome for anybody that remembers back to Mark Henry's days as sexual chocolate Mark Henry, which were absolutely horrible. I'm going to score the growing Kane-Cena storyline. Yes, I'm going to score something about John Cena. For John Cena to sort of take a step back from the main event scene and have sort of a smaller rivalry with somebody like Kane, because I doubt this is going to be a main event anywhere ever, is good. And it's good that he stepped down into the you know, almost that second card spot, because he's not going to be there for long, so it doesn't matter that he's looking weak right now. You know, Kane took him out convincingly tonight, you know. Ripped the shirt right off his back, literally choked him out on a table. What else do you want to say about it? I always get overly hopeful when I start seeing good things in the tag team division, so, you know, stupid me, I'm going to do it again. Primo and Epico look like a great team. The Usos are a great team. We've got great champions. Throw in one or two more teams and we'll have the beginning of a decent division, and we can hope, right? Right. I like I said before, the entrances of Punk, Bryan, and Ryder through the crowd. I thought it was a nice touch, and I thought because of how they all came together, I thought it made a lot of sense, and it was cool. And if they started doing that more often, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. In the same vein, along the same thought pattern there, not so much Ryder. I wouldn't mind some sort of growing storyline that keeps Punk and Bryan as a team in some kind of way. You can tell they've worked together for a long time. You can tell, you know, their days back in ROH or wherever else they've been together. They know each other. They move in tandem in the ring tonight as a team. Ryder did good with them as well. I'm not saying he didn't, but you could just tell when guys know each other that well, and it really, really worked. I'm surprised we haven't seen it before more, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we saw it more often. That's all I'm going to say. For the fail, we have Sheamus being misused to try desperately to pump up Jinder Mahal, and Sheamus just needs to be doing bigger and better things. Right now, if you were to put him in a title picture, you could put him in a title picture with CM Punk or with Daniel Bryan. He'd look equally good either way, and I don't think the fact that all three of those guys are faces would hurt it. I think if you could have some good, decent, respectful matches, even if they're not for the title, it would do great things to elevate Sheamus back to where he needs to be, and it wouldn't hurt the champions at all, because I'm pretty sure they'd be booked strong to come out on top anyway. The Bellas, just in general, the way they use the Bellas, the way they are always, you know, doing the tacky twin bullshit, and, you know, they haven't had a match in forever, and all the shit backstage, they're the sluts of the PG era, because really they're hitting on John Laurinaitis, they're hitting on Alberto Del Rio, they were fighting over Daniel Bryan, even though Daniel Bryan in the storyline was doing Gail Kim. Yeah. Last fail for the night is no Ricardo Rodriguez, and I never thought I would say that, but like I said, for Alberto Del Rio to work the way he works, he needs to be the heel that has that extra helper, that extra, like, that stooge in his corner, and, you know, with that grandiose entrance that he usually gets. When he doesn't have that, it's not to say that he's still not amazing in the ring, but that initial element that he comes in with, you know, it's like if Undertaker had a match and he didn't have his long, drawn-out, creepy, you know, sort of gothy entrance, the stage wouldn't be set properly, and I literally think that was an element tonight that was affecting Alberto Del Rio. MVP, and I don't care how callous and childish this makes me sound, MVP 2 weeks in a row has got to go to Kane. Got to go to Kane. Now, before we go, let's check in on my fave 5. Orton catches a Barrett beatdown tonight, you know, wins a match by disqualification, which doesn't get him anything, takes a beatdown, and ends up eating a table in the process. Not a good night for Orton. Rhodes destroys Santino Marella. Big deal. But he has already opened the door to being one of the potential winners of the Royal Rumble. And that's good. That's laying the foundation. You know, like his match last night, he put 2 beatdowns on Booker T early in the show so that we were already thinking about him when his match came up later in the show. We haven't really spoken about the Royal Rumble a lot yet, but now he's mentioned it. Now when we start talking about the Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes is already in our heads, and that's an awesome thing, and it can't be overstated. Miz, Ziggler, and Punk, like I say, were all part of an all-star main event tonight. Punk's team won, and it wasn't Miz or Ziggler that lost, so everybody looks good. Alberto Del Rio took the loss. Alberto Del Rio's not in my fave 5. So my Fave 5, other than Orton, are looking pretty damn good. I don't want to leave this video without just saying it again. Like, we're in a good time. Cena's still around for the guys and ladies and kids that want to cheer him. He's got a more minor role going on right now with this stuff with Kane. It's sort of a mid-card type story, but he's still there for the people that want to cheer him and whatever. Orton has dipped down into the mid-card to help some of the mid-card guys, you know, elevate their game, and those two guys moving down has let so many other people move up, and WWE has finally pulled the trigger on them. They've fully pulled the trigger finally on CM Punk. They seemed like they were hesitant earlier in the year. They seemed like they were only testing the waters. They've pulled the trigger on him now. They've pulled the trigger on Daniel Bryan, although we don't know how long it's going to last. It's good for the moment. And they have pulled the trigger on Zack Ryder. Pulling the trigger on Zack Ryder pulls the trigger on Dolph Ziggler, doesn't it? Dolph Ziggler needed to get rid of the U.S. title. Ryder needed the U.S. title. And for those reasons, and those reasons alone, I don't think the Ryder push is going to stop anytime soon, because the Ryder push and the Ziggler push, although they're at two different levels, they are directly related, and those two guys succeeding helps the entire WWE. That's I think everything I want to say. I am out of breath. I have yacked on for a good 26 minutes now. I have been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, let me know what you think, and I will talk to all you guys later. I'm tagging out. Bye. Wow.